We imagine the most prosperous era of ancient China. The Song dynasty often comes to mind. The famous painting along the river during the Qingming festival captures a vibrant scene. Boats crowding the Bian River, bustling markets, and people weaving through lively streets. Song poetry and porcelain are celebrated for their elegance and refinement, earning the dynasty the title of the dawn of modernity. But beneath this golden age lies a far more complex and sometimes harsh reality. Today, let's embark on a deep dive into the true engine behind the Song dynasty's brilliance, exploring both its dazzling achievements and the shadows that made them possible. Prosperity of Beijing, the Song capital, was no illusion. It stood firmly on four major pillars. First, its geographic advantage. Located at the intersection of the Yellow River and Bian River, Beijing became the heart of the empire's grain transport. Over 6 million dan of grain passed through annually, making these waterways the city's lifeblood. Second, institutional reforms. The abolition of the ancient ward market system and the end of curfews allowed for commercial freedom and the rise of vibrant night markets. Third, technological leaps. Coal-powered iron production, movable-type printing, and advanced shipbuilding fueled productivity and global trade. Finally, a population explosion with over 1 million people living in the capital drove the city's energy and demand. Song dynasty's population growth was unprecedented, surpassing 100 million nationwide and over 1 million in Beijing alone. Two deep-rooted forces drove this surge. The first was the legacy of the Tang dynasty's two-tax law, which shifted taxation from a per-person basis to land-based, loosening the grip on farmers and allowing families to grow. The second was the introduction of champa rice, a drought-resistant high-yield crop that dramatically increased food production. These changes provided both the institutional and material foundations for a thriving, populous society, supporting the city's bustling life and economic dynamism. Beneath the surface of this golden age, the Song dynasty operated like a cold, efficient, and sometimes ruthless machine. The core of this system was the recruitment army system. Out of fear of powerful generals, the Song emperors centralized all elite soldiers and potential rebels, keeping them close with generous salaries. During times of disaster, mass recruitment swelled the ranks. Alongside a bloated bureaucracy, this created a vast rentier class, nearly 1 million soldiers, officials, and their families, who consumed but did not produce, becoming the city's main spenders. Supporting this enormous non-productive class required immense wealth. But where did it come from? The answer lies in the very innovations that made the Song dynasty famous. The advanced currency tax system required farmers to pay taxes in money, not grain. This forced every farmer to flood the market after harvest, selling grain at low prices. The result was the phenomenon known as cheap grain hurts farmers. The benefits of agricultural advances like champa rice were siphoned away by this financial mechanism, leaving farmers with little reward for their labor. Deeper tragedy emerges. Reforms meant to benefit the people often became tools of exploitation. Take Wang Anshi's reforms. His green sprouts law resembled modern agricultural loans, and the market exchange law echoed state macroeconomic regulation. But in the Song's unchecked power structure, these policies quickly soured. The green sprouts law became forced high-interest loans, while the market exchange law led to state monopolies competing with the people. In a system where power is unrestrained, even the best ideas can become more efficient tools for extraction. Core issue was never the lack of good policies, but the structure of power itself. In the Song system, power was only accountable to its own source. The emperor's authority depended on officials and the military, while officials were evaluated by the emperor based on tax collection, not the people's well-being. No one's power was rooted in the common people, so no one's core interests aligned with theirs. This disconnect explains why the system could remain indifferent to the suffering at its base. Song dynasty presents us with a profound historical paradox. On one hand, it achieved remarkable innovation in institutions, technology, and commerce, seemingly stepping into the threshold of modernity. On the other, its power structure and political goals remained deeply conservative, rooted in feudal traditions. The dynasty used the most advanced methods, but ultimately these served to preserve the most outdated objective. This contradiction defined the era's prosperity and its fragility. Song's prosperity was a kind of involutionary prosperity. It squeezed every ounce of potential from the traditional agricultural society, pushing productivity and innovation to their limits. But the cost was a system that became increasingly fragile and unfair. When external shocks arrived, the dynasty's wealth and brilliance could not shield it from decline. This explains why such a rich and advanced society could still be so vulnerable and weak in the face of crisis. Looking back at the masterpiece, along the river during the Qingming festival, we see more than just a bustling paradise. The busy grain boats on the Bian River carried the lifeblood extracted from across the nation. The lively restaurants were filled with the rentier class beneficiaries of the system's wealth transfer. The painting's greatness lies not in depicting a perfect world, but in faithfully recording a complex era, full of contradictions, brilliance, and shadows alike. How could the system remain so indifferent to the suffering of its lower classes? The answer is in the lack of power. Power only answers to its own source. The emperor's legitimacy came from officials and the military, not the people. Officials cared about imperial evaluations, not public welfare. As a result, the interests of ordinary people were never at the heart of the system. This fundamental disconnect shaped the fate of millions and the trajectory of the dynasty. Song dynasty's story leaves us with a powerful question. How should we measure the greatness of an era? Is it by the heights of civilization it reaches or by how it treats the ordinary people who support it? Is it by the wealth it creates or by how that wealth is shared? The Song offers no easy answers, but it does provide a mirror. On one side, we see the endless lights of Beijing. On the other, the countless silent workers who fueled that brilliance. Contradictions of the Song dynasty remind us that progress in technology and institutions is not enough if power structures remain unchanged. True greatness requires aligning the interests of those in power with the well-being of the people. Otherwise, even the most dazzling achievements can mask deep-seated vulnerabilities and injustices. The song's legacy is a warning and a lesson for any society striving for both prosperity and fairness. True greatness of the Song dynasty may not lie in its perfection but in its complexity. It was an era where light and shadow coexisted, where innovation and exploitation went hand in hand. The dynasty's story is not just about glory but about the real lives and struggles of millions. By understanding this complexity, we gain a deeper appreciation for history and a clearer vision for the future. As we conclude our journey through the Song dynasty, let's remember that history is not just a record of achievements, but also a mirror reflecting our values and choices. The song's prosperity and its paradoxes challenge us to think about what truly matters in building a great society. Will we focus only on dazzling progress or also on fairness and the lives of ordinary people? The Song dynasty's mirror may help us imagine a better future for all.